Hi, everybody. Welcome to Life with Anita podcast show. Tonight we have the amazing Keisha Sanchez, who is the CEO of I Am Radio. And I'm going to bring this amazing woman on, and we get a chance to learn about her, what she does, and what she has coming up. Hello.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. So, Keisha, if you could just let the viewers know who you are and what you do, they would love to hear it because I know how amazing you are, but I would like you to tell your story.
Yes, definitely. My name is Keisha Sanchez. I am the owner and host of I Am Radio, as well as the founder and curator of the Arlington Merch and Mix. I've spent now almost the past 4 years of my life dedicated to serving our community through three principles: informing, exposure, and advocacy. And I've done that through by way of international uh, interviews, media, hosting engaging community events like the Arlington Merchant Mix, facilitating workshops, as well as, just volunteering and connecting the dots between profit and nonprofit organizations and making sure that the people that are doing the groundwork in our community are getting the recognition and exposure that they deserve.
Thank you for that. Now, you being the CEO of I Am Radio and you doing the merchant mix, can you explain to people because a lot of people may hear a merchant mix and not know what that is. They don't understand just the impact that that event has alone.
Definitely. I can tell you the idea came, I was sitting at Foucher's, which is the previous venue, the venue where we started with Corey Mooney. I was at his taco shop in South Arlington, and I was selling some of my products, my full moon ritual products there on Taco Tuesdays. And we were just conversing, and I'm like, I should take everything that I know. So my background in promotions, marketing, and I used to do music, I used to rap, and I also, just helped behind the scenes with local businesses, bouncing off ideas. And I'm like, I have this network of people that I know I can bring together for a greater good. And it was also, during COVID where we seen a influx of small businesses, mainly African American women, that started open up these businesses because we had to take time to sit down. We weren't so busy. And so we had to look within and dig into our creativity and also be creative and urgent with bringing in streams of income during this crisis and pandemic, right? And so initially I started off in radio. So I was originally on the P View with myself, Xavier Hall, and James Lavelle. And so the P View was a platform where we would also interview local influencers, businesses, and just different people making an impact. And then once I seen the impact that I had with hosting events as well, I was getting hired from the PView radio show to go host like fashion shows and stuff like that. I'm like, I need to create an event to bring out people to a centralized space for people to be able to sell their products. So not just interview them and help tell the story behind their brand, but we need to create a space for them to come out, pop up, set up shop, get them in front of new customers, and help put a face to a name, right? People buy from who they know, like, and trust. And from there, we brought out, music artists that wanted to perform. We brought out school dance groups. I've brought my dad's museum out to the Merchant Mix. We've had Brother Ben X, Pastor Tammy Dozier, my brothers, the motivator, Carl, as well as recently Stephen Orphis. I mean, these are people that are making big, impacts in our community. And I do also have to give a huge shout out to Mr. U, Rodriguez Underwood. He is phenomenal. He came on board, I believe, last July, and I met him through. I met Mary Harper the same day I met him when I was invited onto his show. And when I seen what Mr. U was doing and what he was doing that was impacting our community through speaking engagements, through volunteering, volunteering and also hosting men empowerment events, I'm like, we both decided that it was good for us to come together, share resources, and connect the dots between both of our networks. And that really changed the trajectory of where we see the Merchant Mix at today. And, he's really held it down for me over the past year as I've went through some personal things with my kids, with having a grandbaby, with losing my mom. And he's really stood at the forefront and has held me down during this time. So I really do appreciate him, as he's really been at the forefront of the Merchant Mix this past year.
Now, Keisha, you have been awarded a lot of awards and you get celebrated a lot because you are very humble, but you do a lot of great things. The way that you even honor other people. So, how does that feel when you are honored because you do have a record of making sure that you show love to others?
Well, I'm going to say that it's humbling for me. I'm not a shy person, but I am when it comes to what I do. I don't do what I do for accolades. And the point is that you can never give up. There were times where, you're an entrepreneur, you're doing it tired, you're doing it broke, you're doing it with, off of faith. And sometimes you don't feel like you're being rewarded because it's not about the money. If it was about the money, I would have stopped a long time ago because it doesn't pay me like that, right? I still got to go to my 8 to 5 to live. But I think that God started really blessing me with recognition. I look at it from a spiritual form because it wasn't until year 3 where I started getting publicly recognized from people all over. I mean, I've received 4, maybe 5 awards just this year, and in different spaces and from different networks. And it's been very humbling, because it doesn't get any better than to be celebrated by people for the passionate work that you do so selflessly. And it was really during a time where it held me up during a time of grief. And so how I look at it is through these bouts of grief, because I lost my mom in November, I had something to look forward to. I kept getting invited out for dinners and getting celebrated. And I'm like, dang, why did this happen when my mom passed, right? Like, why wasn't she able to see the fruits of my labor? Because she looked up to me so much, right? But I found that every time I walked into this dinner or this brunch and I showed up, it was like she was all around because the brunches and the dinners and the celebrations were so beautiful. My mom was very flashy and very glamorous, and just everything was sparkly. It was pink. It was blinged out. And I'm like, my mom is here. But it's hard. It's hard to walk into those rooms, knowing that the person that you work so hard to make proud is not there. And so I appreciate my network, honestly. And I'm sorry I'm getting emotional. Steven's gonna get me. He's like, you're always crying, but I just have to be real, right? I thank my network for really being there for me during this time, because I wouldn't be able to continue on my path. And it really takes people uplifting you and holding you up. And that's why I say I'm so humbled, because I don't do it for accolades. I really have a innate passion for people. I really have a high desire to show people the magic of life, right? And that you can make it to the other side. And I think during this season of my life, God has really shown me what grace and mercy looks like, and that if you just wait on the Lord in due time, like, he will say what he says he's going to do. Like, the promises will be fulfilled. And I have witnessed it time and time again. And so I'm just talking about presently in my life. It's been made so clear and so known. And I just really thank the community for showing up. I really thank, my network for continuing to show up during this time, because it's not me, right? Like, I could have given up. I've had every reason to give up over the past couple years, and God's kept it together. So this is all for his glory. It has nothing to do with me. I am just here. I'm just the guide. I'm just the vessel. And that is the most humbling experience rather than any award that I have received.
Okay, now Keisha, I know you did not want to cry, but this might see. I'm about to start crying as I'm getting ready to
Don't
say
cry.
this.
I'm not supposed to cry anymore. I'm sorry.
Now, Keisha, you are being celebrated as an honoree at the upcoming Domestic Violence Awareness Dinner that I'm doing next week.
Yes.
You're being honored because you, no matter what time, when
You
I
can't
was
cry on here.
see, I can't help it. I'm trying to get it out. No matter what time, when I was still going through domestic violence and I was so ashamed and afraid to talk to anybody, you were like right there with me, answering my messages, helping me get through it. And if it had not been for you and others just lifting me up, like you said, I don't think I would have made it out and been to where I am today to be on the other side of that. So I want to publicly thank you and say how much I truly appreciate you. And like we formed a real sisterhood because I was like, I had just met you a couple months before that. And I was like, you didn't have to be here for me. You didn't have to respond to all those messages about what I was personally going through. But I thank you for empowering me to get past that.
Well,
Uh,
yeah. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? Like, I've been there. So before I even knew I was being honored at this dinner, right? Before I even knew I was going to receive an award, I chose to come speak at that dinner in regards to domestic violence awareness, right? Reason being is I knew your story and I know that you're trying to host an event and I'm going to support others, right? Like I'm in the game and we don't make it without paying homage, right? And so we have to carry each other on to our visions. But most importantly, this is going to be my first time talking about my domestic violence experience in a public setting, right? And I'm still trying to be prayerful about how I'm going to frame it up. But, domestic violence is very, very real. I experienced it in my teenage years, but I'm like, that don't even count because I fought him back, right? Like we were two young teens fighting, but teen domestic violence is very prevalent and that needs to be a conversation in and of itself. But when I got older and I was young getting married and that man, my first husband, he was very, very abusive. And I never thought in a million years, because I'm a very rowdy woman, like as far as sticking up for myself and saying what I need to say and doing what I need to do. So for someone to outright attack me over and over and over again, and for me to get into a place of submission, not out of respect, but out of self-protection, out of fear, out of losing a sense of self-worth. To get to a point like that in my life at such a young age, I mean, that changed me in ways I still am learning the impact that might have had on me. But during that time, I lost 3 children. And I'm talking about in a span of 11 months. I had 3 miscarriages, in the hospital multiple times. And I'm young too. So there was one time, and so I want to talk about the crazy ish we do when we're in this turmoil, right? Like I remember I had a miscarriage and I'm in the hospital. I'm hooked up to machines, girl, like wires.
Mm-hmm.
And he's there, but he was like, I gotta go to school. Ninja, you ain't going to school. Like I knew he wasn't going to school. He's
Yes.
going to hit the streets. But rather than me sitting there, taking the time to myself and being in the hospital to be cared for, I literally ripped everything out my body and I ran after him. and it's stupid, and it invalidates you, and it really puts things into perspective. Like, this is not right. Like, this is not the life to live. Being hit on, verbally abused, mentally abused. Let's talk about gaslighting. Let's talk about narcissism. Let's talk about um, sexual violations. Like, these are things that are very, very traumatic, and we can trauma and bad experiences are two different things. You can have a bad experience and a bad day that makes you feel off, but you're able to overcome. You're still that same person after that bad experience. But people that experience trauma, especially complexity trauma, your down to your DNA, it can start mutating because of the impact that it has on you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, physiologically, and psychologically. So people don't understand or take into consideration. You have to put yourself first. You have to state your boundaries. You have to create boundaries, because there's some crazy fools out here that will and can hurt you, right? We also have to be clear that when you're going in to court somebody, or when you're being involved with people, like, you have to know what your boundaries are, because there are vultures out here. And so you have to exude self-worth. You have to tell people you have to show people how they can treat you, because they will do anything that you allow, right? And so with that, you have to learn to grow into that, that confidence. You have to learn to say no, and you have to stop being scared to make another person uncomfortable in saying no, because it just leaves you with feeling uncomfortable and having anxiety and all of that stuff, because you're afraid of losing them, or afraid of holding them accountable, or them getting in trouble. That's some BS. Like, you have to start putting yourself first, and you have to protect yourself. And then if you have children, you have to make sure that you're protecting them and their psychology and their emotional and mental states. Like, it's traumatic for kids to witness their parents being in abusive relationships. And we really don't understand the impact of that until they start really being able to voice and come into themselves, and really be able to express their own feelings, as well as start to engage in their own personal, intimate relationships. It does impact them, and it does impact you, and you matter, and you're worthy of everything that is good in life. And, you just have to believe that. We don't get what we deserve. We get what we choose. So rather than saying, oh, I deserve this, or I don't deserve that, be clear on it, on what you want, because you're only going to get what you choose anyway. You can choose the abuse, the neglect, the gaslighting, or whatever, the lies, the deceit, or you can choose a mentally stable person, someone that's financially stable, someone that brings, excitement and passion into your life. Like, it's a choice. And so you have to be strong enough to say, I'm not going to go this way anymore. I'm going to choose something that I know I want, that I desire. It might not be as familiar because of my past experiences, but I know that oven is hot. The what is it called? The stove is hot. I know I'm going to get burned. So I need to step back and go over there, go the opposite way, right? Because we want favorable experiences in our life.
Yes, that is very true. Woo, Keisha, you said that. You said, look, I don't even think I could have said a better way, but that is so true what you said. A lot of times people don't think of the impact that trauma has on people and the long-term effects of that. So that's something that I do think it needs to be talked about a lot more. Now, Keisha, with you, are there any things that you have that are coming up that you want to tell the viewers about, to be a part of?
Yeah, definitely. Of course, we do have your dinner on October 19th at Lady Spaces. So that is going to be a beautiful event where women from all walks of life come together and share experiences. Our stories heal. And so we have to be vulnerable. to be able to tell our stories within a certain context, within respect, to be able to know that people are not alone. These are real life situations that happen. And the worst thing that people can do when they're going through things is feel like they're isolated or no one knows how I feel, because then you get stuck, right? You get stuck in this cycle and you don't know your way out. People need to hear hope, the gospel, the good news. You will make it out to the other side. Or they think my situation is so bad, like, how am I going to get out of this? I'm going to tell you what started giving me hope to get out of an abusive marriage is I believed, because, you know, I'm a young woman, so I thought that people stayed married forever, no matter what, you know, because I'm listening to the pastor, I'm reading the Bible, you know, do not divorce, do not get a divorce. And it's like, well, what do I do? You know? And it wasn't until I stopped being scared of the consequences, stopped being scared of going to hell. I'm like, I have to get the hell up out of here, right?
Yeah.
But I remember calling my grandmother because I'm like, how did she stay married all these years? Like, I need advice. And the most powerful thing that she did when I called her, I was like crying. I'm like, Grandma, how did you stay married to Grandpa all these years? And I heard her light up her cigarette, take a puff, and she was like, girl, I've been married 3 times. And I'm like, what? When I tell you, when my grandmother just told me that, I'm like, I'm over here tripping, putting all this pressure on myself, thinking I got to stay married to this person that is no good for me. And then my grandmother, that's how we really started building the bond that we have today. She started telling me all of her stories, everything that she went through with her husbands, and they started making me laugh because I'm like, I look at my grandma as the most beautiful person in the world. I'm like, who would do that to my grandma, right? And it gave me hope. I'm like, I don't have to stay in this. And then I had to start getting support. I had to reach out to my dad, my friends. I had to start surrounding myself with people that made me feel like myself again so I can muster up the strength. So it's very important for us to hear other people's stories. It's important for elders and people who've been in these situations to start being real. Like, stop with the cliches. Like, people are literally losing their lives. People are really walking around depressed and not knowing what to do. Like, these events are important, right? God knows who needs to be in the room, and they will be there. Whoever is seeking, they'll find, right? And so that's why it's very, I love that you're putting this event together, because you'll just never know who's going to be there. But we have that. I know I went on in a tangent, but it's very, very important. We also have the Arlington Merchant Mix on November the 16th. This is going to be our 2nd annual International Men's Day. So we are honoring 10 to 12 men that are making an impact in our community. And this is not just an Arlington thing, right? International Men's Day is a global celebration. We did our first one last year and honored 10 men, and it was 8 to 10 men. And it was a beautiful thing to witness, men come together, dressing up nice, bringing out their families, and our men being celebrated. Like, they deserve to be celebrated, right? We put all these brunches and stuff together for the ladies, and we're going outside. But what about our men, right? So it is important that they are honored and seen and feel heard within our community so they can continue to be cultivated and lifted up to continue to do the good work that they're doing, right?
Yes.
And so this is something that I have taken the lead on to share globally. It is a global celebration that is celebrated all over the world. And so the Arlington Merchant Mix has joined in on that initiative. So we're bringing it back again this year. It will be held at Gold Bar at 79 Restaurant. This is the time to celebrate the men that you love and that you know. And again, we're going to be honoring men that are making a huge impact in our community. It is a free event. It is family friendly. So if you know a man that you would like to celebrate, bring them out, bring your family, bring your friends. It is going to be amazing. And it's free entry. We're going to have a live DJ. Mr. U is going to be on the ones and twos. He's our amazing MC. And we'll be bringing in the motivator, Carl Roberts, to give us high energy and give us a good message to lift up our brothers. So I'm very, very excited about that. I do have other things going on in between, but those are the two main things that I am working on right now. After this, I'll be going into strategic planning for 2025 and really trying to see what the Lord puts on my heart going into the next year. So it is fall. We're going into winter, and I like to follow the seasons, and I like to take this time to reflect, look at the trees, watch the leaves fall, heal, and just take in everything that I've been through over the past year and really use that to transform into whatever's going to come into spring as we celebrate the 4-year Arlington Merchant Mix anniversary. So I'm very, very excited about that.
Now, Keisha, I just want to say before we get ready to end the show that I am very much proud of you. It has been amazing to know you, to have you as a sister now. It is truly amazing. You do amazing things in the community and you really are a great person. And so I just want to tell you that publicly so that you understand just how much you are important and how much you are loved. You really are a great person. Now, if anybody wants to contact you or be a part of anything, how can they make contact with you?
Call me. I know people like giving out all their stuff, but I am just a personable person. I am. So my number is 817-800-7293. If you do need to hit me up on more of a formality, you can email me at I am radio. That's EYEAM radio@gmail.com. It looks like my partner, Mr. U, just hopped on. What's up, Mr. U? And again, I don't know if you just hopped on or if you've been watching, but I did have to give you a shout out and publicly thank you for holding the Arlington Merchant Mix down, holding me down for the past year as we've had to continue this good work, right? It does take a village, just like in family and, in raising kids, it takes a village in business as well. So I truly appreciate him for really being at the forefront when I had to kind of take a step back to get myself together. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Keisha, for being on the show. You have been amazing. And I wish you so much more success. I know that you do everything from the heart and you really are a genuine person. And it's rare to find people like you. So thank you for being you.
Yes, you're welcome. I thank y'all so much, so much for the support. And you keep doing your thing, girl. You have my support 100%. And you know where to find me, girl.
Yes. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you guys for all tuning in to Life with Anita. And we will see you in a couple days for our next episode. Good night, everybody.
Hey.